Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to go over another card. It is Update Eve, and I'm pretty sure that everyone's gonna be getting early access today. So I'm gonna give you guys a double whammy, bam, bam! 2 other additional cards that I wanted to talk about that I think deserve to have decks made out of them. First is gonna be the Deathless Knight, and then last but not least, I do think the Rock Bear Shepherd is the last card that I want to talk about. Just because there's just so much potential, and I actually want to look into it with you guys to kind of like geek out with you. But you know, I feel like Kale is are you stupid? Like it's so easy to explain. I actually think Aatrox is pretty simple too. I do think that there's a couple of decks that I do want to build with Aatrox, so it's going to be pretty funny. One being with Vandal City, if you can believe it. But let's go over the Deathless Knight. And the Deathless Knight reads that when I gain a feather, grant me +1/+1 instead. What is beautiful about this card specifically is that it doesn't actually specify what happens with any other effect that happens. So of course we're gonna go into Runeterra, boom, and we're gonna look at every card that this card synergizes with. I already have a couple written down, and there's just so much ways that we can have fun with this card. I just gotta, let's talk about them all. Now obviously within this own expansion, there's nothing like that's gonna help out. There's only 3 Shadow Isles cards here. But when we go into the game, let's go into the cards. So first off, I like to go into this own region, right? So let's type a word, and I'm gonna use Hecarim because yeah, I don't know. Hey, how did I spell it wrong? Okay, I didn't spell it wrong. My E key. Okay, boom, shaboom. So obviously, I can just go straight down. I can go straight down. So a lot of the people were looking at Callista. Yes, that was our name. Each round, the first time I attack, attacking a copy of the strongest dead ally follower this round. We're bonded, and it takes damage for me. Now, obviously, that is like the bread and butter of that card, because it will come back, it won't die, it will take damage, and it will still be attacking, and it's also fearsome. So like you just have the double whammy. So a Callista deck with that card is phenomenal. Also, Shadow Isles, obviously you have the vaults, right? The Vaults of Helia, actually, this is where I think it's gonna be worth it, right? I think it's gonna be worth it in this type of deck archetype. So all you have to do is be able to scale up to turn, this one's a 6-drop, but for some reason I just thought it was a 5-drop. So it's actually a 6-drop. So turn 5, and obviously you just have something scale all the way up until 6, and then once you get it out at 6, you could also, if we go back to our lovely keyword, I think obviously you're running a 3 of the Oblivious Islander. Not only does it boost the damage of the stupid knight, it makes it a 5 cost, and then it makes it even cheaper, and then it makes it even cheaper. So definitely Oblivious Islander. I actually think you might even go Oblivious Islander into like Fading Memories, like like you Fading Memories the Oblivious Islander, and then hit it again. You could obviously Fading Memories the Death Knight, but you need to get one out on the field first. You need to start the bullshit. Once you start the bullshit, you're fine. Mark of the Isles obviously is going to give it +3 for 1 mana. That's just, oh, that's just gorgeous, is it not? It's just like such a beautiful thing to see that, right? Then you also can run 3 of the Mark of the Isles coming from the Shadow Isles Telstones. That's great. Plus you have the flexibility of it, which is grand, fantastic. And then what else do we have here? You're not gonna leave this. This also grants that unit lifesteal and fierce. He already has fearsome. This is pretty much like I want to give him lifesteal pretty much, which is phenomenal. He should be going good. And then you have cards that haven't been used in 17 years. The Stirred, you probably didn't even know. This is the dark version of Back Alley Barkeep. But the Stirred Spirits grant my ally +2/+0 and a Ferron. So this one you would support him, the Death Knight, and he'll become even stronger. I don't think necessarily you need to do that because it's already going to be pretty strong. But you don't need to do it. But it's just fun to mention that now you can actually utilize this card. And this card was basically meant to push damage. It's meant for like aggro. So I mean, you need cards to die, especially if you're throwing Callista in the fray, right? So you do need cards to die. So I think that that's gonna work out just fine. I also predict that you're gonna be using Viego in here too. Winter Soul will be very interesting because it says summon an exact copy of an ally. It's ephemeral and a 1/1. So I don't know what happens first. Does it turn a 1/1? So you use this on it, and then it's pretty much a 2/2. Does it just negate this part? I don't think it can negate the 1/1, but that will be definitely something that we want. Is that Viego? Has Viego been in this? That looks like Viego. This is an old card too. That'd be crazy if Viego's actually from Demacia. I actually have no idea where Viego's from. So this one, and then we have next up, Stalking Shadows. Obviously, pick a follower from the top 4 cards, top 4 cards, draw it, and then you get one thing and then a copy of it ephemeral. That other copy will just become stronger, right? So it's just stack on stack. Oh, I was waiting for it. I was waiting for old buddy to pop up. Encroaching Shadows. I should have maybe saved this for the end, but it's here. It's already here. I'm going in alphabetical, numerical order. Shut up. Encroaching Shadows. So now, this gives all allies in your deck +2/+2, and it gives them the lovely I'm gonna die tag. And for that, we will give all the Death Knights in your deck, if they're still in there, or if they're in the hand, it's gonna give them +3, right? That's just pretty crazy. It's good. But this is what we're utilizing as like a solo-esque deck. Actually, oh boy. Okay, I hope you guys are with me. I kind of want to do this with like a Rise deck or something like that. Like maybe Rise Shadow Isles. You just draw the draw spells. You turn Rise into ephemeral. You don't care, but you actually just make it like a Death Knight deck. It's just like a Death Knight deck. You Encroaching Shadows, make them a little bit stronger. But this might be what we call what is it? Win more? Might be a win more. Like I think the other cards that I'm mentioning here is more important, but this is a nice thing to give it +3. And as we saw with like something like Spirit of the Spirits Unleashed, giving cards buffs, I mean for pretty cheap, for 4 costs, making those things +3/+3, and it's already a 5-drop. Okay, so it would turn them into 8/8s, right? Which is pretty nuts. 8/8s. And then we have stuff like the Herald Return. Revive the copy of it. It comes back. It does not actually die at the end. Gives -1. It is a lovely, beautiful, it is a fearsome unit, so lowering the attack might make it a little bit more awkward to block. This card is a mainstay, I think, in this deck because it's such a cheap card. It's for 4 mana, and that thing just keeps coming back. Like I said, the only cards that I think so far that you definitely have to have, not even Encroaching Shadows, I think maybe like a one-off is kind of cute, but Harrowing, and you definitely want to run the Oblivious Islander, and yes, and Faded Memories as well, and the Tellstone. I guess there's a couple more cards than I thought. All right, shut up. Internal Dancer is actually pretty good too. If you are running some type of hollowed variant, that you can get it to be as strong as the thing, so it keeps bringing that card back. Same thing like Callista. I think specifically, maybe if you don't want to run Callista, because Callista sometimes is a little bit too easy to counter. And if you maybe wanted to run hollowed and you ran a hollowed version, you allow this to kind of bring it back every time this attacks, not that bad. Spectral Matron I also thought was not that bad either, because it actually will pick an ally in the hand. It's going to summon that knight, and it would also make it stronger. It actually would make us, you would have a 6/6 fearsome and a 6/6 fearsome. So I think that's good. Harrowing, duh. But what else? I wonder. I ask on to you, what other cards will make this pretty good? And this is only Shadow Isles, so let's take off the Shadow Isles band-aid and see if there's any other cards that can help us out with the Called Shot. Look at that. That's interesting, right? Called Shot. Is there a PNZ variant that we can come up with here? God Widow Willow Seedling. Recall ally, summon an ephemeral copy of it, then later on you get another ephemeral copy of it. Ionia actually is the other region that I do want to mention here, because I do think that it is the other one that actually has this negative quote-unquote keyword, and I do think that stuff like Deathmark, God Willow Seedling, then you actually can run the Dark World of Scourge and some of the other ephemeral units, and then you have stuff like I said, Deathmark, to kind of mess with it. But God Willow Seedling onto a Deathless Knight is pretty nuts. Like I said, you kind of give yourself a lot of different copies of it, and that's kind of what you're looking for. You're looking for ways to kind of cheese them out as much as you can. Go get it. Also, Ionia. It is an Ionian card. I do think, like I said, I think this is what we'll be looking for. Tailcloak Matriarch. Awesome. Little recall synergy, because you also have, they become living shadows. This is what the one I was thinking about, Shadow Flare. Shadow Flare is such a cool card, and it's really underutilized. I actually think that this card would have been always really good in against aggro decks, but I don't think it's see the time of day. But this one's pretty cool, because all battling followers, if you have a bunch of Death Knights out, right, Deathless Knights out, they're just gonna get +1/+1, and then your opponents or all their units will definitely die. Might be a little bit win more, because the Deathless Knights are supposed to get huge anyway, so the odds of them being able to block them after a while, after utilizing half the stuff we just talked about, yeah, it doesn't seem, it might be a little bit more, maybe just a one-off of a purely Deathless Knight strategy. And then I actually almost skipped over the Dawn and Dust, obviously. Taking that one thing and making exact copies, so whatever bonus bullshit that you've been doing, you're gonna take those bonus bullshits and then give it to two other ones that won't die, and it just seems to get out of control. It's almost like a more controlled Yeti deck. I feel like that's kind of like what it seems like to me. It's a more controlled Yeti deck. Now, what do you guys think about the Deathless Knight? Do you actually think that it's going to be a meta-defining card? Is this card strong enough to warrant itself like a kind of its own deck, or do you guys think that it's morally like, I'll throw it in as a 1 or 2 of or something like that, hopefully it dies, and then every time I revive it through other means, like pretty much not focusing on it, but more or less just I'm going to throw it in my deck as a 1-up. I think as a regular card, like not actually playing to what it does, I think the card's kind of booty. I think that if you don't have enough ways to make it come back multiple times, I do think that like there's probably other 6 drops that you want to, like, I mean, even Hecarim I think is a 6 drop. Like why would you not have to build, like, if I'm not building around this card, I'm not putting it in my deck, if that makes any sense. I'm looking to get it early. I'm trying to fish it out. I don't know how many in those 2 regions, if there's ways to specifically do that, but I'm trying to fish it out. I'm trying to get one on the board as early as possible, because if it dies, then all my other cards in Shadow Isles become active as far as reviving. I forgot about Haunted Tomb. Well, Haunted Tomb is still good, but it has nothing to do with Ephemeral. But I do think it's a way to just get a shit ton of Death Knights. You just get so many of them, and they keep summoning. You make them cheap, and then you just go to town. And then every other card in your deck is just purely defensive, like Vengeance, and since, like I said, you're Ionia, right? Twin Disciplines, you can do Momentous Choice. You could throw in maybe the Halberd as like a nice little one-off. You could even go like the Undying, stuff like that, you know, just to kind of fill the deck in. Like the other cards, like I said, are relatively not obvious, but just really good pickouts. But I think that you could just fill in the deck with whatever. Like, I know if you're going Callista, maybe you want to do Haunted Relics. You can also try to do, you can still have ephemeral units and still go with that route. And then hopefully you can get either Viego or Callista going. Or you can go like pure ephemeral and then maybe like you just attack with Hecarim. But like, that seems pretty butt cheeks to me. I think like going Gwen and going like a Hallowed with a little bit of Hallowed mixture might work out better, because then they can't avoid blocking that guy as he trades. So that's my opinion. Hopefully you guys leave yours in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.